In the depths of Mount Doom, as the fires of creation and destruction danced in eternal torment, a single moment of hesitation changed the fate of Middle-earth forever. Picture this. The One Ring lies before you, molten lava churning below, and in your hands rests the power to end all evil. Yet you freeze. This is not a tale of cowardice, but of wisdom turned tragic. This is the story of how Elrond Half-elven, one of the wisest beings to ever walk Middle-earth, made a decision that would echo through 3,000 years of darkness, death, and despair. Welcome, fellow travelers of Middle-earth, to another deep dive into the hidden corners of Tolkien's legendarium. I'm your guide through these ancient halls of memory, where every choice reverberates through the ages, like ripples in the pools of time. Before we venture into this tale of profound consequence, I want to know, from which corner of our world are you joining this journey? Whether you're watching from the rolling hills of England, the vast plains of America, or perhaps somewhere as distant as New Zealand's own Shire-like landscapes, drop a comment below and let our fellowship know where you call home. And if you find yourself drawn to these deeper mysteries of Middle-earth, if you crave the stories behind the stories that Tolkien wove into his great tapestry, then consider subscribing. We're not just exploring fantasy here, we're uncovering the profound truths about choice, wisdom, and the weight of consequence that make Tolkien's work timelessly relevant. Hit that notification bell, because every week we're diving deeper into the philosophical depths of the legendarium. To understand the magnitude of Elrond's mistake, we must first step into that fateful moment at the cracks of doom. The year is 3019 of the Second Age. The last alliance of elves and men has achieved the impossible. They have brought the Dark Lord Sauron to his knees. Gil-galad, the High King of the Elves, lies dead. Elendil, the great King of Men, has fallen beside him. Their sacrifice has created a window of opportunity that will never come again. And there, in the heart of Mount Doom itself, stands Isildur, heir of Elendil, holding in his trembling hands the One Ring, the source of all Sauron's power. Behind him, Elrond watches, perhaps the only being present who fully comprehends what hangs in the balance. Not just the fate of Middle-earth, but the very nature of good and evil, creation and domination. The lava bubbles below, eager to receive its golden burden. One simple motion, a casting away of the ring, and Sauron would be diminished forever, his power scattered to the winds like ash from Mount Doom itself. But Isildur claims the ring for his own, and Elrond does nothing. This is where our tale truly begins, not with the action taken, but with the action not taken. For in Tolkien's deeply Catholic worldview, free will is sacred, and even the wisest cannot violate another's choice, no matter how catastrophic the consequences might be. To understand Elrond's dilemma, we must first understand who Elrond truly was in this moment. This was not merely an elf lord. This was Elrond Half-elven, who had witnessed the rise and fall of kingdoms, who had stood in the presence of the Valar themselves, who had sailed to Númenor and seen the greatest civilization of men crumble under the weight of their own pride. Elrond had learned, perhaps more than any other being in Middle-earth, that forced salvation is no salvation at all. He had watched his foster father Maedhros choose death, rather than surrender a Silmaril. He had seen the Númenóreans reject the wisdom of the Valar and bring doom upon themselves. Time and again, he had witnessed the truth that Tolkien held most dear, that the greatest evil often comes not from malice, but from the desire to do good through domination. But here lies the tragic irony. In respecting Isildur's free will, Elrond was about to condemn Middle-earth to 3 millennia of shadow and fear. What was going through Elrond's mind in those crucial seconds? We must remember that to the Eldar, time moves differently. What seems like a moment to us might have felt like hours to an immortal consciousness, weighing the fate of the world. In Christopher Tolkien's analysis of his father's notes, we glimpse something profound. Elrond was not frozen by indecision, but by a terrible clarity of vision. He could see the paths branching before them. If he forced Isildur's hand, what would that make him? Another would-be dominator, using violence to enforce his will, even if that will was righteous. This is where Tolkien's deeply held beliefs about authority and free will create one of the most psychologically complex moments in all of fantasy literature. Elrond possessed the physical power to push Isildur into the lava, ring and all, but to do so would be to become, in that moment, everything that Sauron represented. The imposition of will through force, the belief that one's wisdom justifies overriding another's choice. The tragic beauty of this moment is how it echoes throughout Tolkien's entire mythos. Think of Melkor, who believed his vision for creation was superior to Eru's, and whose attempts to impose that vision led to his fall. Consider the tragedy of Saruman, whose genuine desire to bring order to Middle-earth led him to seek the ring for himself. Even Gandalf, perhaps the wisest of the Maiar sent to Middle-earth, understood this principle. When offered the ring by Frodo, he recoiled in horror, saying, "I would use this ring from a desire to do good, but through me, it would wield a power too great and terrible to imagine." Elrond knew this truth intimately. He had lived it, breathed it, watched civilizations rise and fall because of it. And so, in the moment of ultimate choice, he chose to honor the principle that had guided his entire existence. That true good cannot be imposed by force, even when the alternative is catastrophe. But what if we've been looking at this all wrong? Some Tolkien scholars have proposed a fascinating alternative interpretation. What if Elrond's mistake was actually a form of prophetic wisdom? Consider this. Had the ring been destroyed in that moment, Sauron would indeed have been diminished, but not destroyed. His essence, his malice, his corruption would have remained, seeking new forms, new outlets. The peoples of Middle-earth would have celebrated their victory while remaining fundamentally unchanged by the struggle. Instead, by allowing Isildur to claim the ring, Elrond might have intuited what Tolkien himself suggested in his letters, that some evil must be allowed to work itself out fully before it can be truly defeated. The ring's continued existence would force Middle-earth to grow, to develop the moral strength necessary to resist such corruption. Think about it. Without the 3,000 years of the ring's influence, would the Shire have developed its peculiar immunity to corruption? Would Sam Gamgee, the true hero of the story, have ever had the chance to become the person who could bear the ring's burden without being consumed by it? What do you think? Was Elrond's choice the mistake of a lifetime, or the wisdom of the ages working through imperfect circumstances? I'm genuinely curious about your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore this together. Here, in this moment of apparent failure, we touch the very heart of Tolkien's philosophy. The professor, who had witnessed the horrors of 2 world wars, who had seen humanity's capacity for both tremendous evil and transcendent good, understood something profound about the nature of choice and consequence. Elrond's mistake was not a failure of wisdom. It was wisdom operating at a level so profound that it appears to mortal understanding like failure. For in that moment of restraint, of refusing to violate another's free will, even to save the world, Elrond embodied the deepest truth of Tolkien's mythology, that the means determine the end, that how we achieve good is as important as the good we achieve. This is why 3,000 years later, when Frodo offers him the ring in Rivendell, Elrond refuses, not out of fear, not out of weakness, but out of the hard-won wisdom of someone who has learned that some battles must be fought by others, that some choices cannot be made for another person, no matter how much we love them or how clearly we can see the consequences of their decision. In the end, perhaps Elrond's greatest moment was not when he counseled kings or healed the wounded, or preserved the light of the Eldar through the long darkness of the Third Age. Perhaps his greatest moment was when he stood in Mount Doom and chose to trust in something greater than his own wisdom, the fundamental belief that free will, even when it leads to suffering, is sacred beyond measure. And so we return to our original question with new eyes. Was this truly Elrond's greatest mistake, or was it his greatest act of faith? In refusing to dominate, he allowed room for growth. In accepting tragic consequence, he preserved the possibility of true redemption. This is just one thread in the vast tapestry of Middle-earth's hidden depths. If you hunger for more of these deeper explorations, the philosophical underpinnings, the psychological complexities, the spiritual dimensions that make Tolkien's work more than just fantasy, then make sure you're subscribed and check out our playlist on The Wisdom of Middle-earth. where we dive deep into the profound truths woven throughout the legendarium. Until next time, fellow travelers, may you find wisdom in difficult choices and courage in uncertain times. The road goes ever on, and there are always more mysteries to explore in the depths of Tolkien's imagination. Until our paths cross again in the halls of learning and wonder, farewell, guardians of Middle-earth.